All right, what's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome. This is Myles Jr. Welcome to the new episode of the Myles High Podcast. As you know, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right? Hope everyone's doing good. We are officially into the holiday season. Christmas is right around the corner. For those of you watching on our visual platforms, you can see we have the set decked out with some Christmas decorations. Shout out to my wife. Thank you, babe. But we're in the Christmas spirit, man. You know, the holiday season, this holiday season is my favorite, one of my favorites. This has always been special to my family and I. It's always a time of, you know, spending time with family, friends, getting in those social environments, those social events, and really enjoying the festivities of the season. So that's what we're about to do. You know, we are about 13 days away from Christmas Day and about 21 days away from the New Year, right? So officially getting into that holiday season where we're ending one year and getting into a new year. And I thought it would be good to have a discussion about setting goals for success. Goal setting is very important. I have grown into the practice of using the latter half of every year to prepare myself for the upcoming year. I think it's super important for us to plan ourselves and plan things out for the things we want to accomplish, especially moving into a new year. You know, we're about to get finished with the year 2023, jumping into the year 2024. I myself, I've started planning my 2024 year since October of this year, right? I usually start at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And it's because it takes, I think it takes a lot for us to do, for a lot for us to plan the things that we want to accomplish, the wins that we want to have, you know, the goals that we want to set, and the things we need to put in place in order to achieve everything we want to achieve and we set out to achieve for the upcoming year. And I think that in order for us to make goals and set goals, we have to have a clear vision, right? A clear vision for our lives. And I always think that it's good for us to identify long-term visions, right? The 15, 20, 25 year visions that we want to have. You know, where do I see myself in 25 years? Where do I see myself in 15 years? Where do I see myself in 10 years, right? These long-term plans. And then you work your way back into short-term plans, right? Where do I see myself in the next 5 years, in the next 3 years, or in the next 12 months? I think it's important for us to set these scopes for our lives, right? These vision casting that we should do in order for us to visualize what it is we want to achieve, visualize what it is we want to see happen in our lives. And it all comes down to planning. You know, I think the most successful people in the world are people that plan, right? People that prepare themselves for everything that is about to happen in their lives, whether it's next week, whether it's next month, or whether it's next year. Planning is very important. And I think we need to set time aside, right? Whether it's a day, whether it's a week, whether it's a month, or if you're like myself, 3 months, right? Set some time aside so that you can plan, so that you can write your goals down, think about your goals, meditate about your goals, and then put a plan in place for those goals to be achieved, right? And like I say, you work your way from casting that long-term goal, right? Those long-term plans, the vision that you have over a 25-year span, down to a 20-year span, down to a 15-year span, to a 10, to a 5. And then you work your way up to, you know, that 1 year. And ultimately, you know, 25 years have passed, and hopefully you would have achieved the goals that you've set for yourselves over the next 25 years. But in order to get there, you have to start with the next 12 months. And I think it's imperative that we set time aside this year in order for us to plan the next 12 months, the year of 2024. So for those of you who haven't started as yet, you may have gotten a late start on your planning for next year, or if you've never planned or set goals for yourself going into a new year, it's not too late, right? It's you have about 21 days left before the new year starts. So you're able to still take advantage of the time that we have left in this year to plan the next 12 months of our lives. So setting time aside is super important, right? And I think when we're in the process of setting our goals, there are a lot of goals that we can set, right? And a couple of examples of goals we can set are like dietary goals, right? You may have a goal to reach a certain weight within the next 12 months, or a goal to live a healthier lifestyle over the next several months, right? So you could set goals with your diet. You can set some savings goals. You may have a dollar amount that you want to save and set aside for 2024. You can set a strategy in place, put a plan in place for that to happen, right? And that could be one of the goals that you set for yourself in 2024. You could set some accomplishments that you want to achieve, whether that's personal accomplishments, professional accomplishments. All of these are goals that you can literally think about, strategize for, plan for, and set for yourselves within the next 12 months. You can also set targets, right? And targets can be, certain things you want to, certain targets you want to hit for the next year, whether it be, obtaining a certain degree or a certification in a particular industry, or you want to achieve a raise on your job or achieve particular bonuses, right? You can set these targets that you want to accomplish in life. Or you can simply set some wins, right? If you're creative, if you're an athletic person, someone that is in sports, and you want to achieve particular wins in your life, right? And you don't have to be just creative or athletic, right? You could be on your job, working your own business, and you have some wins that you want to achieve, right? There may be that client that you want to land, or that particular employee that you would like to hire within the next couple of months. You can literally plan that out, right? You can strategize your way into achieving all of the goals that you want to achieve. And I just think it's important for us to have a clear understanding of the variety of goals we can set, because we can set goals in our personal lives, right? We can set goals in our professional lives, and we can set goals in our spiritual lives. And, all of these areas of my life encourages me to start early when I'm planning my next year, right? And that's why I usually start between the month of October and November of the previous year, right? So I give myself enough lead time to set some time aside to plan and to really accomplish or set out to accomplish the goals that I have for myself over the next 12 months. Now, I've already visualized and planned out, the next 25 years of my life. Now that I'm married and I have a family now that is involved and that I have to take care of, they've now been incorporated into my planning, right? Into my goal setting, into my vision for my life. So they've now become a part of the process of me planning out not just my next 12 months, but, the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, right? And I think it's important that we continue to visualize these areas of our lives, these places that we want to go, the things that we want to achieve, because it's one thing to see it, right? And it's one thing to talk about it, but when you start really doing the work, right, and setting yourself up for success, it comes with proper planning and proper preparation, and that usually comes with being able to set great goals for yourself, right? So these are just some options, right? There are a lot of ways that we can set goals for success. These are 5 fundamental ways things that I use to set goals up for myself. Now, these aren't the only things that I use, but like I said, these are the 5 fundamental things that I use. These are things that I consistently think about. I constantly go over in my head to ensure that I am setting myself up for success throughout the process of goal setting, right? So I want to leave with you my five recommendations. Like I said, there's a whole lot more. Some of these may apply to you, some may not. So I'm just offering this information for you to take advantage of them, and hopefully they can be helpful to you throughout the next 21 days in planning in setting your goals for 2024, right? And the first one, quite simply, is you must be sure to set realistic and attainable goals. I can't say how important this is, right? Because sometimes, let's use the example of dieting, right? And setting a goal in our mind to lose a certain amount of weight or to reach a certain physique that we want to reach. It's sometimes it could be far-fetched for us to, if we weigh 300 pounds, to say, next year I want to lose 150 pounds, or I want to get down to 150 pounds. It's possible. It's not something that can't be done, but based on, our makeup, based on the habits that we have, it could be difficult, right? So I'm always more inclined to set more attainable goals, right? So instead of 150, I might say, well, I want to lose 50 pounds within the next 8 months, right? And I work my way up to losing those 50 pounds. And if I achieve it before I reach 8 months, then I extend that goal and say, okay, let's take it to 75 pounds. But I think just trying to, hit it out the park on the first day out, I just think it's kind of unrealistic, right? So we want to be as realistic and in setting, our attainable goals, right? Making sure that we're setting ourselves up for success and not disappointment. It's I think it'll be far-fetched for us to say, I want to make $10 million next year, right? When we've never made $100,000, right? I think it's fair to say that, we have to crawl before we walk, right? I'm always of the idea that, slow and steady wins the race, right? It's all about consistency. It's all about sticking to it, right? It's all about setting a goal, and the goal is so attainable that you're able to continue at it, right? It's not one of the goals you're going to look at and be like, 3 months in to be like, man, this goal is too far-fetched, right? I can't do this. I don't have the mentality or the mindset to continue on this path. And that could possibly be because you didn't set a realistic goal from the beginning. So always try to be realistic in setting attainable goals for yourself. That's the first one. The second one is to ask yourself why, and then to answer that why, right? Why do I want to set this particular goal for myself? And then make an answer for yourself. And I think it's important to say here that the reason for goal setting should never be self-serving, right? So going back to the the diet goal setting example, you're setting this goal for diet because if the only reason you're doing it is because I want to look good and I want to increase my confidence and do all these things to please and pleasure myself, that's not the right way to go about it, right? But let's say you just want to live a healthier lifestyle, right? You want to be able to live longer so that you can continue to build your family or provide for your family or to be around for a long time to help your businesses, help your friends and others around you to achieve a certain level of success. Or if you want to be an example for someone else, right? To be an encouragement to them, because you can say, man, I set this goal and I accomplished it. And I want to share with you in ways that you can do the same, right? So ask yourself why. What's the why? Why do I want to accomplish these things, right? If you set a goal to say you want to make $10 million next year, why do you want to make $10 million? Is it just because you want to, make all this money for yourself and just kind of be selfish with it and buy yourself all of these tangible things that don't have any meaning, right? Don't have any purpose to it. Or do you want to make this money so that you're able to provide for your family, your friends, and create a business or an industry for your neighborhood or within your region or within your country? Why are you setting these goals? Why are you doing these things? And I think the why not only allows us to create purpose for the goal setting, but allows us to create reasoning, right? And allows us to create discipline within ourselves, because it's not just for me. I'm not doing this just for me, right? It's not self-serving. This is a goal I'm setting for myself because I want to better myself, yes, but in addition to that, that's going to better those around me. So asking yourself why and answering that why is also important. Thirdly, and this may be the most important thing, is you need to strategize. You have to make a plan of action. I can't tell you how many people have failed in goal setting because they haven't strategized, because they haven't put a plan in place for that goal setting, right? And it's always good to set these strategies in place to achieve incremental wins, right? Because if you have a 1-year goal, then you can set these small wins in increments of 3 months, right? If you have a 5-year goal, you can set your wins in increments of 1 year, right? And if you have a 10-year goal, you could set your increments in about 2 to 3 years. So there are always incremental wins that we can put in place to strategize and put a plan of action in place so that we can be intentional, right? Be smart about the things that we're doing. But not only that, but also to encourage ourselves to keep going. So in the dietary example that I use, right? You have a goal that you want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, what's the strategy that you're going to use, right? You may want to get with a trainer. You may want to get with a nutritionist or a dietitian to help you with putting a plan in place, right? You may have to cut the calories that you're eating and only eat a certain amount of calories a day. Or you may want to start meal prepping, right? You want to prepare each meal that you're going to eat each day, ensuring that you don't overeat, right? In this weight loss journey that you're about to go on. If you want to earn a certain amount of money within a year, right? Let's say you want to earn $100,000. You're going to have to say, the goal over the next 12 months is to earn $100,000. So that means in 12 months, I have to earn about $8,300 a month. And within each day, you have to earn $277 or just about $277. So what plan are you going to place to say, okay, I need to figure out a strategy, put a plan in place so that I can make, $200 to $270 a day in order to achieve the larger goal, right? I've always, not always, I've recently came across this principle of doing the math. Doing the math is such a simple but strong principle that we can put in place, especially when we're goal setting. For me, during my goal setting phase, or my setting out plans for the upcoming year, I have several spreadsheets that I use, right? And I set targets and marks for my personal life, for my professional life, and I work backwards from the targets, right? So if I put a number or a figure in one of the blank spots, I work backwards to either, here's what I have to do each month, here's what I have to do each quarter, here's what I have to do within 6 months, right, to achieve this goal that I've set. And doing the math just makes things to seem more achievable, right? And that's where the incremental wins come from. Because looking at, trying to make 100,000 could be overwhelming, right? It could be something that you just continue to look at this large number and be like, man, I don't know if that's possible, right? Just based on where I'm at right now. But if you break it down into smaller increments and you start achieving those smaller increments and setting and hitting those targets, right? And hitting those marks and winning at the small levels of the goal setting that you're doing, one day you're going to look up and you're going to be at that $100,000 mark that you set. And you're not going to even recognize it. It's not going to become obvious because you've been winning at so little things. So I think it's important for us to, put a plan of action in place and do so incrementally, right? And encouraging ourselves not to look at the big picture, but to break that big picture down into smaller wins, and to keep us encouraged, to keep us enthused, and to keep us happy about the achievements that we're making. The fourth recommendation is to trust the process. Now, I want to say this: when we set goals for our life, and I know a lot of us, I'm a gym head, right? I love going to the gym. It's a place of solace for me, a place of release. it's where I go to clear my mind and everything, right? And at the beginning of every year, right, January is usually always the busiest month in the gym, right? Because that's when people come in with this New Year's resolution, right? Everyone has a New Year's resolution saying that they want to, work out and exercise a whole lot more. So gym memberships skyrocket within the first month of the year. Then you hit February and March, and those numbers start to decrease. And by June and July, like, you have the standard, the normal amount of individuals that's always in the gym, right? So I'm always seeing new faces in the gym at the top of each year, and by the mid-year to start of the fourth quarter, you see the regular folks that you always see in the gym, and it's like clockwork. And usually that's because people set these high expectations and sometimes these unattainable goals for themselves and expect to achieve them within the first month or within the first couple of weeks or within the first 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever those unrealistic things that they put in their minds to achieve. And it's not only with exercise and dieting, but it could be with savings. It could be with the accomplishments that you want to achieve, the targets that you set. It's not going to be easy, right? You're going to fail. You're going to miss some of the marks, and it's just normal, right? It's normal practice. And I think trusting the process that you put in place just encourages you to remind yourself that, man, even if I don't achieve this goal within the amount of time that I set for myself, it's okay to extend it, right? It's okay to rework this goal. It's okay to rethink what it is I want to do or how I want to do it, right? Maybe the plan of action wasn't realistic enough, so I need to go back to the drawing board and come up with a new plan of action, right? Because the goal is always going to be the goal, right? You just change the strategies. And you should always be reworking the strategies. So trusting the process just involves knowing that it's not going to be easy, right? And you may hope that it takes a month or 2 months or 3 months, but it may actually take 12 months or it may actually take 18 months. But just trust the process. Trust the journey that you're on, knowing that being consistent and disciplined is way more important than being fast or being quick or getting to the finish line, being the first to the finish line. I think within the trusting the process phase of successfully achieving our goals is where we lose a lot of people, because a lot of people say, man, this is taking too long. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not capable of doing or achieving these goals that I've set for myself. And I think it's important for us to encourage ourselves to say, man, yeah, I didn't get this part of it. I didn't get that part of it, but I'm going to trust this process, man. I'm going to keep going. And as you incrementally win and as you incrementally achieve the things that you want to achieve, you're going to build your confidence. You're going to build your enthusiasm. And then you're going to be able to not only encourage yourself, but encourage those around you. Right? I can't tell you the amount of times I've failed on a journey or failed in a goal that I've set for myself, and just became so discouraged, man, and just was like, man, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't something that I'm supposed to achieve, right? And just being able to remind myself of, you've been here before, right? You've been in this process of it being a long process, you getting tired and you needing some encouragement or at least a win, right? And you just needed that boost of adrenaline or energy to keep going. And, it comes from experience. It comes from trial and error. It comes from persons around you, right? Creating these accountability circles that you can have people encouraging you to keep going. But trusting the process is the most important thing, right? Because you don't want to hit this new year strong and hard and you going strong for the first 31 days, and on day 32, your plan goes out the door, right? And you're doing something entirely new. So trust the process, okay? It's not going to be easy. You will fail. Trust me, you're going to fail. Failure is inevitable. But like I said before in a previous pod, failure is an event, not a characteristic, right? So you can never be a failure. So just understand that even though you fail, you learn from it and you move on. And that brings us to the last point, which kind of piggybacks off trusting the process. It's review and revise. Sometimes, like I say, we're not going to make the marks that we set, not going to hit the targets. So always setting time to review and revise, not only just our goals, but the strategies and the plan of actions that we have in place. It allows us to continue to better ourselves on the inside and externally on the outside, right? I tend to take a look at my goals every 3 months, the strategies that I put in place every 3 months. And I use that time to assess, the plan that I put in place and where I'm at in achieving or accomplishing those plans. And if I need to rework them, if I need to revise them, I do so, right? Sometimes we get into this mindset that, we have to set these goals and these are the goals that we need to achieve, or we put these strategies in place and, this is a strategy that I need to follow. Sometimes strategies don't work, right? Life happens, right? Things change and we need to adjust. And, I think it's important for us to review the strategies, review the goals, and if the strategies need to change, we revise them, right? We rework them because it's important for us to do that in order to set ourselves up for success in achieving our goals. All right. So again, just want to run down them a little quickly once again. So setting goals for success. And again, these are just 5 things that I recommend that I use consistently in order to achieve or hopefully achieve the goals that I've set for myself. The first is to set realistic and attainable goals. The second is to ask yourself why and then answer that why, ensuring that you're not self-serving in your goal setting. The third is to have a strategy, put a plan of action in place, put a blueprint in place in order for you to work your way towards achieving your goals. The fourth thing is to trust the process. And then finally, to review and revise. Okay, don't be afraid to change the strategy, but always keep the vision the same. And that's how you are able to successfully achieve the goals that you set for yourself. Okay. Well, I trust this has been some good information for you. I've already started on this process for myself. I'm coming down to the final stages of that process. And I just wanted to encourage you today that it's not too late. You still have 21 days left before the end of this year in order for you to set the goals that you want to accomplish within the next year. And hopefully this information helps you and puts you on the right path to doing that successfully. All right. So that brings us to my favorite part of the pod, is where I personally get to give you a milestone for you to now take the information you've received and apply it to your life, right? And the milestone for today's podcast is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All right, simple as that. And that's something that we've heard and been hearing all our lives. Hopefully we've been hearing them all our lives. I've been hearing it all my life. But it's a principle that I use, right? I try to plan out everything that I want to do. Everything in my life that I've accomplished or that I want to accomplish, I put a plan in place for me to do that. Because I know that if I fail to plan, I plan to fail. So I want to encourage you to start planning now for the new year. And I hope that you have a successful one. All right. So that brings us to the end of this podcast. Man, this was good. I just want to wish everyone a successful planning period for the remainder of 2023. And I wish you nothing but success in achieving all of your goals for 2024. All right. As always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. So until next time, you guys stay blessed.